Welcome to the Dawgs Podcast with your hosts, Blake Reneker, Justin Charles, and Josh All.
What's up, Browns fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Dawgs Podcast. Kenny Mack and myself coming to you with one of our midweek What's Trending episodes. Going to give you what's trending in the Browns universe, especially on X, formerly known as Twitter, what everybody's talking about. Obviously, the Ken Dorsey taking over the play calling. Jameis Winston going to start this week. So a lot of stuff to get into tonight. Before we do, though, remember, if you want to get intros and voicemails on the show, head to thedogspodcast.com, tap Leave Voicemail, the drop-down menu. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Make sure you tap the notification bell so you don't miss any of the new content we're putting out. You don't want to miss any of Kenny and myself's episodes, any of the Dog Pack Discord preview episodes, which I will not be a part of this week. Tomorrow is actually when we record them. We record them on Thursday nights. Typically, it's my 4-year wedding anniversary, so I'm going to take the week off.
Oh, happy anniversry. Yeah.
Thank you. So they'll be doing that one without me. So I got to make sure I bring my A game on this one since I won't be there for the preview. And you don't want to miss out, obviously, any of the therapy sessions, which are on Mondays, typically after a loss, which have kind of become the norm for the Browns season, unfortunately. So make sure the notification bell is tapped. You don't want to miss any of the content we're putting out. If you prefer to just listen to the show, you can find us on Apple, Spotify, and Google. You can also find us on all the major social media platforms. Just search at the Dawgs Podcast. And lastly, if you're looking for more Dawgs content, head to jointhedawgs.com, become an official Dog Pack member on the Patreon page, play fantasy football with us, be a part of those preview episodes. Meet people like Kenny Mack and other guys from all over the world. It's a good time. So if you want to hang out with us, you want to play some fantasy football, get to know a lot of cool Browns fans from all over, head to jointhedawgs.com, become an official Dog Pack member. So Kenny, thanks for staying up late. Recording.
Yeah, it's a problem.
Yeah. So what are the people saying? What do we need to get into today?
Well, let's start off with the big news. The one that everybody's clamoring about, and there's different opinions on it, of course, because that's the way social is. Ken Dorsey to call plays for the Browns. And so it will not be Kevin Stefanski anymore. One thing I'm going to ask you, I mean, was Kevin really calling the plays? What is this offense? What are we actually going to get from Ken Dorsey? I can tell you what I think because I did an episode on Ken Dorsey alone, his playing career and his coaching career, so I have an idea. But we are made to understand that this was a collab, right? So it was a collab between him, Dickerson, O'Shea, our running backs coach, Staley, and anybody else that I missed. Oh, Tommy Reese is the guy I'm thinking of. Now we're saying, okay, well, maybe the Browns are thinking we get in a lot of procedure penalties. We can't block. We can't throw the ball. We're the worst offensive team in the league at this point. Maybe someone should just call the plays. Kevin should coach and be the head coach. And everybody else that's collabing in this or collaborating in this should just concentrate on their jobs and get these players where they need to be. So I find a lot of people, I would say, are super pumped about this. And the reason is, if you can think of let's just say our last 4 coaches, I'm going to think in my head right now, probably not since Butch Davis, okay? But I'm going to say Kevin Stefanski, Freddie Kitchens, Hugh Jackson, Pat Shurmur. What do they all have in common? They all called their own damn plays. And other than Stefanski, everybody else had a crap record. And I even think before Shurmur, who was there? Pettin? He called his own defensive plays. Yeah. Did he not? I think so. I was like, we constantly get these guys that are not concentrating on being a head coach. They're concentrating on being a head coach and a D or offensive coordinator. And this is why we find ourselves in these predicaments. Now, what I hear after is when people are talking about Kevin Stefanski and they're relieved that someone is just only doing this, calling the plays like someone's job, that he'll be tougher on them, that they'll actually get a better culture, because the culture is coming in question right now. When he came in, it was like, yeah, we got a great culture. Now everything's falling apart. Is it because he's too concentrated in the offense? But give me your thoughts on it.
So for me, I thought it came at a weird time. I wouldn't have minded Ken Dorsey calling plays from week 1 with Deshaun. My hope going forward for this season was, and maybe it was unrealistic to think this, but I was hoping we would start to go back to some of last year's Joe Flacco offensive philosophy. I feel like Joe Flacco and Jameis Winston are more similar in their play style than Jameis and Deshaun are. And I figured you brought in Dorsey to build an offense around Deshaun. If Deshaun's not here anymore and the offense has been garbage, why not go back to what Kevin's bread and butter is with Jameis? It's just trying to look competent on offense. So that was kind of my hope going forward this season with Jameis Winston. And then they kind of out of nowhere blindside us and say, we're going to do the opposite. We're going all in on this. We're going to give Ken Dorsey play calling now. I don't know what is going on. It's so hard to tell because the Browns, to their credit, they're so tight-lipped on everything. Like you don't get a lot of leaks out of this organization right now, at least with this front office. I feel like back in the day we always did. But
I got an idea for you, though.
Play calling, or is it hey, you need to give up play calling? Is this coming from somebody else? Is Kevin just like fed up? Like, hey, I didn't get to have my coaches anymore. You guys, you're making me do this now. And I don't know. Kevin looks just almost checked out. Like I feel, I always feel bad for the guy. And it's just, and if the Browns are really, if AB or Podesta or Jimmy or anybody outside of him are making these kinds of decisions and forcing him into these situations, it's like, you know what I mean? The guy's a 2-time coach of the year and he's taken us to the playoffs twice. He doesn't have any kind of say or power in the organization. That's not a good look for me if you're the Browns. So I feel like there's so much speculation you could do with this. And then it's unless you just take them at their word. And he said, it's for us to try to get better because the offense needs to be better. So that we're just trying something to get another, give us an edge, be better. He's not obviously not going to come out and say, this wasn't my decision. I don't want to do this, but my boss told me I had to. So it's hard to tell. I really don't know. Everything has gone so far off the rails that I would believe almost any conspiracy these days when it came to the Browns just because of how this has gone.
Yeah, it is very bizarre, and it comes after a bizarre time. And, Josh got into it today on his episode about, how DTR became the backup quarterback and Jameis Winston was the third because ultimately his excuse, the way he reported it, Kevin Stefanski said that they took out the first and goal, or 3rd and 1 offense, like that offense, right? That seems unbelievably weird, like that you would take that out. It's like you're saying, like, we don't think we're going to get a 3rd and 1 against them, or we're going to run DTR on sweeps on that. Like, I don't get that. I mean, as to your point, Darryl Reuter, he's the one that reported that handing over the play calling duties was 100% Kevin's idea, and he wanted to do this. That is another weird thing that since he's been doing it for the last 4.5 years, and now he's just, I'm going to do it now. I mean, in our Discord, guys are thinking like this is the beginning of the end. And you are starting to see people saying like Kevin's not going to be here after the bye week, and that doesn't make any sense to me. If you're not going to be here by the bye week, then just don't have him here now, and get that going. The other thing is like I was listening to the actual podcast from the Browns, and they're saying like Jameis is a great warm up to the bye week, and then you want DTR for the rest of the year. And I'm like, what I've seen from DTR, I'm good. I think he's kind of erratic. I do feel like he is probably one of the better athletes on the field, just the way that he can juke and jive. And I think that's tempting if you're an NFL person, that you can keep. Number one, he's got great talent. Number two, the cost factor is there based on this situation we're in. And, that seems like something they would do. And then you be going for a number one pick with that guy. If Winston, who knows what you're going to get out of them? Like, what do you think you will actually see out of Winston this week?
Who knows? I have no idea what to expect from the offense. I'll say this because of Winston starting, because of Dorsey going to call plays for the first time since maybe week 3 or 4. I'm excited and intrigued to watch the game, and it's not even because I think we have a shot in hell to win. It's because it almost has a preseason game feel. Like I'm going into it curious. What are we going to look like? What are we going to do? I don't know what to expect out of Jameis. Is he going to throw 5 picks, or is he going to look good? Or is the offense just going to continue to be bad? The offensive line, is going to get beat up. We're going to get sacked 6 times. I mean, it's just, I don't know what to expect. The Ravens give up a lot of passing yards. You can't run the ball against them. They shut the run down, but I think before their game against the Bucs on Monday night, they were giving up 275 a game or something, and Baker threw for 340. So that just went up. They give up passing yards. Yeah. There's yards to be had. So I personally, before today, I would have thought we're going to start seeing some Joe Flacco offense. We're going to start seeing some play action. And now I don't know. I haven't seen an offense being led by Ken Dorsey since he was in Buffalo, and I didn't watch a ton of Buffalo games. I know it puts, which we know this just from early, it puts a lot on the quarterback. You know what I mean? Like the quarterback's got to make quick decisions. The quarterback's got to know where to go with the ball. He's got to know where to move his line in pass protection because there's not a lot of chipping. There's not a lot of running back staying back to block. Like it's on the quarterback to know where he's going to go with the ball to make plays, all that good stuff. So,
he's got some interesting influence. So what you're talking about what he learned under Dable at the Bills, right? So basically, these are some points that Josh highlighted that I wrote down here. So they are, if I can find them. Now it doesn't want to find, of course, when I'm looking up for it. These But what I'll go into what you touched on with Stefanski and having that offense that Stefanski had, then that would be something that would be easier to run. Well, when he was in Carolina, that was more resembled what Stefanski did because he worked under a guy named Mike Shula. But Mike Shula worked for a guy that we all know, one of our favorite guys from Toledo, Rob Chudzinski. And he was his offensive coordinator when he was at with Miami Hurricanes and went to those 2 championships because they lost to the Ohio State Buckeyes. And he knows that system, and it basically is a 1-back system with 2 tight ends. And on their Carolina, like the Carolina Panthers Super Bowl run, it was all on Cam Newton. And he got he basically didn't favor a receiver because their biggest and their best receiver, Calvin Benjamin, he went down with an ACL at the beginning of the year. So they had a bunch of, I don't want to say nobodies because they had Ted Jr., right? But they had a bunch of guys that just had to be role guys and they could get first downs. And now if he kind of dials it back to that, then I think we're going to be in a good spot. But with the guys that we had that were, Buffalo had Stephon Diggs. They had guys that Gabe Davis, guys that could really go. I don't know if you can measure those guys to get this kind of success. And as I'm talking, I just found what I wanted. So when he was fired, he basically was number 1 in success rate. So he got the most amount of first downs, 48%. He was number 2 in third down conversion rate. Well, we stink there. So if he can go from whatever we're at, 15%, and when he got fired, he's at 49%, which was number 2 in the league. Okay, let's just get halfway. We'll be looking way better. We'll have something to cheer for. He was third in early down success rate. Well, that helps you with your third down success rate. If you're, you know what I mean? Yeah. And so that was 47%. His EPA per game was positive at 0.09. We are negative right now. I think it was Bernie Kosar's number because that's how I remembered it. We're at negative 19. That's what we're averaging. This was our average points per play, right? So, and the last but not least, his points per minute per possession was 0.85. I wanted to get into that. What we average now is not even close to that, but I don't have that stat. But if we can get to that old school way, I think that'd be really good. I don't know if we have the personnel or the offensive line that can do what he needs to get done, what he did in Buffalo, if that makes sense.
This episode is sponsored by Leaf Filter. Browns fans, whether the team is winning or not, you are the most die-hard, loyal fans in the league year in and year out. And just like you, Leaf Filter has been supporting clean gutters in Northeast Ohio year after year. And because Leaf Filter is the official gutter guard of the Cleveland Browns, they have a limited time offer for all of you barking dogs. Right now, you can get up to 32% of your entire qualified purchase and 2 free official Browns jerseys at leaffilter.com/dogs. Now, I don't know how many of you have ever cleaned your gutters, but it's a tedious, messy, time-consuming chore. So cut down on your weekend home maintenance, cross off another item on that to-do list so you can spend more time watching football on your days off. Leaf Filter uses award-winning patented technology to keep everything out of your gutters except for the water. Schedule your free gutter inspection today for a free no-obligation estimate on protecting your home from flooding, roof damage, rotting siding, foundation issues, and all those things you really don't need to be dealing with as a homeowner. A Leaf Filter trusted pro will clean out your gutters, realign and seal them before installing Leaf Filter. Schedule your free inspection now, and for a limited time, get up to 32% off your entire qualified purchase and 2 free Browns jerseys at Leaf Filter, leaffilter.com/dogs, DAWGS. That's a free inspection up to 32% off and 2 free Browns jerseys with a qualified purchase at leaffilter.com/dogs. Offer valid on a first come first served basis while supplies last. Full terms and conditions can be found at leaffilter.com/dogs. See representatives for warranty details.
It does. I think, well, I guess a positive if you're the Browns. Nick Chubb got out of last week's game. Apparently, still healthy, good to go. He's going to be 1 week more in game shape. Wyatt Teller back. This is the healthiest the offensive line's been in a year and a half. It's
got to get rid of Jed. We got to get rid of him.
I know
he's a turnstile.
It's awful. But
can Dunn play left tackle?
On paper, we have all of our starters now.
Yeah.
So
yes.
You got your 5 starting offensive line back. You got Nick Chubb back. I thought Cedric Tillman was a bright spot in that game against the Bengals. You got David Njoku. I mean, in theory, the offense is as healthy and should be as in. You can make the argument is upgrading at quarterback by going to their backup. At least in a lot of people's minds, they think so. The offense should look better. I'm at the point now where if Stefanski giving up play calling to Dorsey makes us look like a better coach football team in terms of penalties and just stupid things we do, illegal motions, pre-snap penalties, can't get personnel in, having to take timeouts, that kind of stuff. Even if the offense still looks like a dumpster fire, but we can at least cut our penalties down. And at least I'll be like, well, at least there was one positive effect of this. The offense just is broken. But at least Stefanski took a CEO role and started correcting some of these things that we were getting worried about that were incorrectable. So if that's a positive I could take. In a perfect world, we don't have any more penalties and we start putting up 30 points a game. I don't know if that's going to happen, but so I'm looking for tiny victories right now. And I would just like to see Kevin really kind of grab the locker room by the nuts and start getting some of this stuff corrected, because I've always thought Kevin was a good coach and we look poorly coached this year, and that's what scares me. And I think that's the biggest reason why he might be on the hot seat is not that the offense is broken. Anybody who's watched this team knows that the offense is broken in so many ways. I don't know who would have success with this offense, but we look poorly coached in way other parts of the game, So hopefully we can get that kind of stuff corrected, and then the offense will fall suit. Hopefully Ken Dorsey can get a rhythm. He can call the plays, all that good stuff. So
that's why he goes for it a lot on first and second down. If you're going to go with that style that's in Buffalo, then basically what you're looking at is he's going to up the rate that he passes on first down. What that's supposed to do is usually a short pass like you're seeing with the Browns right now, and that's supposed to provide rhythm. Then if you go for it on second down, again, like the defense has to expect run at some time, especially when you have Nick Chubb in the backfield. So it's supposed to provide easier completions, and it promotes rhythm, which gets the quarterback going. The only problem is this too high safety, the shell defense, where this offense might not be what you need. And then if you dial it back to what I said, what he did, and the style of offense that he ran, that Tudzinski ran before he left to go to the Browns, is what got them success. And they might have more success with that style, with the too high safety and the bubble and whatever they do, right? And then the other point that just touch on again, like you mentioned, if the position coaches are actually coaching their positions instead of worrying about what plays that they all got to collab on, then basically, that should cure some things. Whether we see that happen this week, I don't know. It's the Ravens. They're going to be good, I do have some. So this is what we're getting from Jameis. So he's coming in. He's got 34 wins. He's got 93 interceptions, but he has 136 touchdowns, 11 rushing, and he averages about 267 yards a game. So that's what we should expect.
You're getting a gunslinger, that's for sure. And I know he threw a ton of picks, especially early in his career. But I believe the last extended starting time he saw, he was double-digit touchdowns and only 3 picks. I think it was 12 or 14 touchdowns and only 3 picks when he was in with the Saints before he got injured. So if he can make good decisions and not turn the ball over, I want to think the passing game should be better. I do want to touch on, as we're kind of transitioning, talking about the quarterback situation going on. Obviously, Deshaun done for the year. I feel like there's a good chance he's done as a Brown and maybe done in the NFL. This is going to be a tough one to come back from, and I don't know if anybody's going to sign him based on the way he played this year leading up to the injury. So,
well, he's got 2 ACLs. He's got 2 ACL injuries. He broke the coxal in his throwing arm, and now he's basically got that ACL rupture or tear. And then at some point, he's got to learn, because you brought this point, which was really good. What has this guy been doing for the last 2 years when he's been laid up? He hasn't been reading defensive coordinators and their tendencies, because he can't read a defense, And when you said that, I was like, I got bonked on the head like a Looney Tunes guy. I was just like, this makes so much sense. What has he been doing? Or he just doesn't get it. Sometimes somebody, no matter how much you give them the answers for algebra, they're just not going to get it. And he might be there. And the other thing is the 2 ACLs and everything I was talking about. I watched Ian Rappaport talking. He could just be not the guy he used to be after those severe injuries.
I already thought his athleticism looked like it had taken a severe hit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This isn't going to help the matter. So, but that brings into the situation that you got Winston starting this week. You got DTR with, I think the X-ray and MRI results were negative on his finger or thumb, but they said it's going to be hard to throw a football. So I look for him to be out at least this week, if not another week. We just signed Bailey Zappi. Tell me Bailey Zappi, too, isn't the kind of quarterback that Browns fans are going to become obsessed with. If he ends up going in and we win a game and he throws for some yards, he's going to be the next quarterback that Browns fans are obsessed with. I'm calling it right now. It's going to be Bailey Zappi mania. I'm just calling it right now.
I am so sick of our quarterback jersey. So Winston's going to be number 39. And there is there's 3 other teams that are under us. So it's the Bears at 30, the Commanders at 28, and the Dolphins at 27 since 1999. And only one of them has gone to the Super Bowl, and that was the Bears. And it was that quarterback from Florida, and I forget what, Grossman from Florida.
It was awful, but they had a great defense.
Yeah. I mean, and we have a great defense. Like, again, our guys held the Bengals to 14 points. It's just special teams said, hey, our defense is so good, let's spot them one. Let them put a 7 on the board. Let them run wide open. That was the biggest hole. I think I could have ran that kickoff back for a touchdown. That was so big. I still want to know what happened there, but I'll let that go.
I heard an interesting thing today about Bo Bishop actually said it. So I saw a tweet about it that said that the Browns locker room was fed up with Winston. And I was like, okay, this has to be BS. And then I saw a clip from Bo Bishop's other show. Obviously, Bo does Cleveland Browns Daily. And it was from his podcast or his other show where he talks about Ohio State. And he was talking about the Browns, and he said that they're fed up with him and he might not be long for here. And I'm pretty sure he's talking about Jameis Winston in the clip. It was a short clip, but it would make sense why they took out that third and short package. So you said it's strange that they would take out that third and short package, and that's why DTR was at number 2. I'm hearing rumblings that jet sweep to Cedric Tillman the week before was not what was supposed to be run, and that was a Jameis Winston audible, and he called that play, either audible to it or he called it in the huddle, and that's not what the play was supposed to be. So I think like that was like he was on a short leash and he did that and it got busted, and Kevin's catching heat for it. So they were like, well, we're getting rid of that package, and if we're not doing that, that's why. So I'm hearing some rumblings that's why Jameis was the third string quarterback this time. Like he's rubbing some people the wrong way, which caught me completely off guard because I thought he was super popular in the locker room.
Dude, I was hearing the same thing. I sent you earlier today that play to Njoku in the back of the end zone, that was changed as well. I also have heard that he's got a shoving match with a teammate. I don't know if that's real or not. These are all, like, I can't even remember the people that are actually posting this stuff. So it wasn't like a Daryl Reuter. It wasn't a Ian Rappaport. Like, that would stick out in my brain. But there's these little, like you said, they're rumblings. And it's like, where there's smoke, there's fire. There's something going on there. Because it was odd to me for even Nathan Zagura on the Browns Professional show to say, like, hey, this is the way I think it's going to roll out. I think it's just going to be Winston until the bye, and then let's see what we have in DTR. I mean, if it was any other team, like, are you really going to give like that many games to a rookie to see how he goes? Like, you can give him 2 and that's it. And there might be a yo-yo back and forth between the two. But I mean, I think based on what I saw from Winston, and you can tell me if you saw any different, but I saw a guy that got in the game, whether they like him in the locker room or not, he commanded the huddle. He got everybody lined up. And then he literally, when he hit the ball, 3-step drop, the pass rush came, and he stepped up into it. And then he drove his foot back and drove the ball where it needed to be. And I don't even know if we haven't seen this all year. When he was in the pocket, he turned his head this way. He turned his head that way. He looked up. I saw 3 progressions that this dude went to. I was like, what is this? What's he looking at? More than one receiver, because there's more than one receiver on the field. And then, we drop one and that stuff can't happen. But I mean, I think they have a better shot, and you were mentioning it, with, going with the backup because he's confident in what he's seeing. And kind of a funny note, you were saying about, he threw picks early. Well, apparently he got laser surgery late in his career. And so he couldn't see well. And the joke between him and his old coaches, he's like, I didn't even know you were white. With who's the no risk no biscuit guy? I can't remember his name. Was that Bruce Arians? Yeah, our old offensive coordinator with Butch Davis.
Yeah, so we hear all these things with Jameis, and he's funny. And when we signed him, everybody talks about how great he is. When I interviewed Deshaun, I asked him who was the guy in the locker room who's like the funny guy and like kind of keeps everybody loose, and he said Jameis. So like to hear that there's tension there, and I wouldn't have believed it if it wasn't from Bo Bishop. And like I said, I only heard a very 30-second clip from his show, so I couldn't tell if he was implying they were done with Watson and he wasn't long for there because he kind of mentioned how he wasn't going to be, or if he was talking about Winston. It was hard to tell, but what I saw the tweet and then I saw the clip, and I'm like, this is straight. And then to couple that with the fact that he was the third string quarterback, we're hearing that he's changed a couple plays. That's weird to me because I've always heard that Jameis is good in the locker room. Like, guys like playing with him.
It was a convenient end to that clip when I got it, but it did make you think a little bit. But I mean, we'll find out in the Ravens game. I mean, if you see what Mary Kay posts in her little biddies that she does for practice, guys do look a little bit more excited. I mean, even like part of my takes making fun when they rank our team, they have the 3 teams that are ASS, right? So they're the bottom teams, and it goes not the Browns because they're starting Jameis Winston. I'm like, okay, everybody's kind of like up and up now, that everybody's past what happened and like they're moving on a little bit. So.
Hey, Browns fans, even though the Browns kind of suck again, there's still plenty of actual good, real football that you guys can watch this season, and that's where Underdog Fantasy has got you covered. Win up to 1,000 times your money just by choosing higher or lower on your favorite player stats, for example, touchdowns, passing yards, and more. Honestly, you can still have fun with the Browns. I mean, Deshaun or whoever's playing quarterback, their touchdown line will probably be like 0.5, 1.5, something like that. So, hey, pick the lower, and it'll get you there more times than not. But anyway, the Underdog app, it's easy to use. I've been playing fantasy sports on Underdog for years. I play a ton of best ball on there, and this higher, lower stuff, the picks just adds way more fun to each and every Sunday. Making picks on Underdog is straightforward, and signing up is even easier. Just head over to Underdog's simple-to-use mobile app or UnderdogFantasy.com. Sign up with promo code DAWGS, DAWGS, and Underdog will give you a free pick to use on your first cash pick'em entry, plus up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you deposit. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code DAWGS to claim your new customer special of a free pick and your deposit offer. Must be 18 and older, 19 and older in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 and older in Colorado for some games, 21 and older in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in the state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, 1-800-639-8783, or text NEXT STEP to 53342. New York, call the 24/7 HOPE line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369.
So, and then I guess we kind of talked about it a little bit, and I don't want to make this a show about old quarterbacks, but man, can we just stop talking about former quarterbacks? I'm talking about the current quarterback in Tampa Bay. Like the Deshaun went down, and then he came out and threw an early touchdown against the Ravens, and all Browns Twitter was nothing about, I can't believe, like, how stupid are the Browns? Dumbest organization in the whole universe that they had this guy in. And I'm like, well, first of all, he went on to throw 2 picks and they lost. And it turns Baker is who we thought he is. And I'm happy that he's having a good season. I liked watching him play that game. I was rooting for him. Obviously, he's playing the Ravens, but he loses against good teams and he beats bad teams. That's what he was here. That's why we took the swing for what was supposed to be an elite quarterback. I'm not trying to shade the guy, but like, we got to stop. We're not even the last team to have him. In fact, a team that he plays twice a year in his own division had him more recently. They should be the clowns. They're in just as bad of a quarterback situation as we are, and they have to play Baker twice a year. At least we don't have to play him. He's out of sight, out of mind for us. So I only bring it up because it was like super trending on Twitter, and this is the trending episode. And I just would say, like, guys, you can still enjoy watching Baker. I watched that game. I enjoyed watching him play, but without also being like the Browns are just the dumbest organization in all of sports, because they got rid of the guy who, when we had him, all of national media said he sucked. You know, come on a TV show or radio show without people saying that Baker Mayfield wasn't the guy to get it done. And then we get rid of him, and all those same people who are on national shows are saying how dumb the Browns are for getting rid of him. It's like, you can't. I can go back. I can find the clips. I can see where you were saying he wasn't good enough. And let's be honest, Baker was almost out of the league. He had 1 foot out of this league. It makes you grow up very quick. It makes you mature. It makes you, put in that work. And he's a different player than he was now, than he was included. He's even gone on shows and talked about it, about how he had to mature and grow up. So I'm happy for him, good for him. But 2 things can be true. Baker can be playing well and, has matured, and he wasn't that when he was here. And a lot of people were telling us that he wasn't good enough to get where we wanted to go. Like, 2 things can be true at the same time.
Yeah, Tony Dorsey called him a troll. Like, on those we heard rumblings that he was a little kid. I didn't necessarily want him to go. I saw the picture of him up in my Browns cave here. And but the be completely honest with you, I mean, he was a beast against the Bengals, but he was 3-7 against the Ravens, and I think he had a similar record. Well, I guess he's 3-8 now against the Ravens, but he had a similar record against the Steelers. I mean, he had that great run in 20 where they beat him two times back to back in the playoffs, and the game to get into the playoffs. Which was awesome. But, I mean, he lost to Duck Hodges, for Pete's sakes. I mean, people were going to run him out of this town. I was at the game against the Lions when he would not sit. He would not sit for that season. He lost us a ton of games, and he got booed off the field. And everybody in that stadium booed him. There's not a single person that didn't boo him. And, again, it's not to be negative against – that's all you hear. About Baker. You wish him well, but let's see how he does without Godwin and how he does without Evans. You know, that'll be a real sign of maturity for him as a quarterback to be playing out with those guys and still elevate the team. And that was kind of the thing here. He couldn't do it with Jarvis. He couldn't do it with Odell.
And another thing I think people need to stop and think, right now he gets to play Carolina and the Saints twice a year. And last year, even the Falcons were awful. So 6 of his games last year were against 3 of the worst teams in football. Replace getting to play the Saints twice and the Panthers twice this year with having to play the Ravens twice and the Steelers twice. I bet you that goes from 4-0 to most likely 0-4. Okay, yeah. So like this, a great situation for him. He went to the best division, or the best team in the worst division, and they have great weapons. So, I mean, again, I'm not trying to shade the guy, but I hate when people bring up the Browns moving on from him is just the dumbest thing of all time when everybody told us that he wasn't good enough. I defended the guy for 3 years to people because they always crapped on him and said he was garbage. And it was just like, and then we make the move for Deshaun and get rid of him, and it's, oh, look how dumb we were. Well, okay, if we had, hindsight's 20/20, but turns out we didn't have a glass ball that we could see the future.
Well, it's also he's playing an offense from like his days at Texas A&M that he really likes, and he's thriving in it, and the offense is thriving in it. And right now, their line is, and their running backs and everything just coach better than we are. They don't have the penalties, they don't have the turnovers, so he's doing well and he's thriving, and then he's got to take it up to another level now where he's got to make that team ascend without Evans and without Godwin for sure, because he's done for the season.
And he's throwing 7 picks this year too. So like that was he's on pace to throw 16, 17 picks, which he's got to throw a decent amount of touchdowns, so it's not, the year the Rams won the Super Bowl, Stafford threw a ton of picks also. He just threw for a ton of touchdowns and yards. So, but he's still turning the ball over. Like, guys, let's not pretend like, we gave up Dan Marino. That's all I'm saying. Like, we can be happy for him and still know that we didn't give away, most likely we didn't give away a Hall of Famer. No. So, well, let's wrap this up here. The last thing I wanted to talk about was Browns officially announced they're going to move to Brook Park. Everybody's all happy except for the city of Cleveland. They're going to try to sue the Browns to keep them there. I'm so tired of this. We want the dome. Everybody wants to go to Brook Park. I think this is just a ploy I read they just want the Haslams to help pay the money to tear down the stadium, which whatever. I don't care. I'm tired of this. Is one of my high school football coach used to say, "Don't tell me about the labor pains. Just show me the baby." Like, I don't care how it gets done. I don't care how hard. Just show me the results. I don't care. Just figure it out. Build the new stadium in Brook Park. Make it nice. Build it up, and let's just get on with our lives. I'm so tired of this back and forth between them.
Yeah, I don't get it. Like, I mean, I'm obviously up here in Ottawa, Canada, so our football team's not. It's downtown. So it helps a certain area of downtown thrive, I guess. But if you take a look at what the Browns do, I mean, they've got maybe 8 pro football games there, possibly playoffs, 2 maybe preseason games. That's not a lot. And then they have a couple other events. if you pull that out of downtown, what is downtown really losing? I mean, I'm still going to go to a Cavs game when I get down in 2 weeks, or I guess a week and a half now. And I'm still going to go downtown. I like the brewery scene. I like being down there. There's restaurants that I like. Around the stadium, I mean, like I show people the architecture around there. It's where the free art piece is. That it's beautiful down there. You know what I mean? If they could make it a little bit better, that'd be great. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame's down there. So I don't know really what they're crying about. Is there a big piece of tax dollar that they're missing from the Haslams? That's the missing piece to this, because it's just 10 miles down the road. And I don't even stay downtown. It's cheaper for me to stay out past Brook Park, Middleburg, for cheaper hotels, and then Uber in there, and it's still less than paying downtown. So maybe now all those hotels are going to go up in price, and I'll be staying downtown now, and I'll be spending more money down there. So who knows?
Well, and they have 5 years to figure out the logistics of tearing down the stadium, building up the lakefront. Are they going to run, still tailgate at the Muni lot and set up trams or whatever, or shuttle buses to the stadium? Like, they got 5 years to figure out the logistics of how to keep the downtown vibe on a game day. It's 10 minutes, guys. It's like a longer drive from the free parking lot at Cleveland Airport to the terminal than it is from downtown Cleveland to the Brook Park site. Okay, it's not that big of a deal. They have 5 years to figure out the logistics, how they're going to build it. Tear down the stadium, build up the lakefront, put a huge screen, show the Browns games there on Sunday. People can tailgate. You can run shuttles to the stadium for people who have tickets. If not, people can walk over and watch it with 20,000 people on this giant screen, make it a party. Like, there's so many things you could do. You have 5 years to figure it out. I know that's not
make it an actual dog pound.
Yeah.
Make it an actual dog pound. Like, do that,
Like, there's so much they can do. So I'm tired of I don't even want to hear about it. We're getting the dome, figure it out, and in 5 years, I'll see it at the new stadium. Like, I'm so tired of hearing about this.
Well, for the surrounding areas, you have to tell me, I stay in a hotel once in a while downtown, but like I said, I stay out in Middleburg Heights as well. I mean, I go in at 7 a.m., 8 a.m., whenever I feel like tailgating. But you're a guy that's got to come in, you got to drive for 45 minutes, an hour. Where are you parking? How the heck are you getting out of there? Are you staying for suppers because, you can't get out of there right away? You're stuck in your car for 2 hours. I think everybody in the surrounding or the greater Cleveland area, if you guys call it that, I think they'd be happier funneling in and out of that place fast. And that's not an option from what I hear in Cleveland.
And we were just at a dome out in Vegas. And
yeah, awesome.
The newer stadium, the way it's set up, we got into the game. We walked to the game with thousands and thousands of people. We walked in. I was in the stadium in 5 minutes, if that. I went and got right into my seat at halftime. I walked down as the clock hit 0, went to get food. I went to a concession stand, went through, got my food, got my drink, talked to people for a couple of minutes, and was back in my seat before the start of the third quarter. You can't do that at Cleveland Browns Stadium. If you leave at halftime, to go get food, you're not getting back to your seat until almost the fourth quarter probably, because it's just nothing is set up efficiently. There's no ergonomical sense to it. It's just, let's just move into the modern era. I was talking to a guy in Cleveland when I was heading out to Vegas who's been to SoFi, and how they have the wide open surrounding around it, and they built all that up. He said you get to the game hours early and you just you can just walk around, hang out. There's barbecues, parties. There's not this massive you're being herded, your cattle into this tiny space. I mean, getting into a Browns game takes 45 minutes. You're standing at the game just nuts to butts with everybody. It's just, it's awful.
Yeah.
So, well, we had one more thing, but maybe we'll save it for next week just because it's getting kind of late.
Yeah.
So we won't spoil it. We'll stay tuned for our episode next week. We have another cool topic we're going to get into, but we appreciate you guys being here, hanging out with us. We appreciate you guys trending things on X so we have something to talk about for these episodes. And I guess if the Browns aren't going to win, being a dumpster fire is good for topics. So I guess I should thank them also. If you're going to be bad, at least be a dumpster fire.
Yeah, man, it's easy to find stuff, that's for sure.
Yeah. So again, we appreciate you guys being here, hanging out with us even through the losses, keeping us company throughout this season. Make sure you guys tune in. We'll probably be out on Friday for that Dog Pack Discord preview episode about the upcoming game with the Ravens. And I will see you guys most likely next week, Monday, talking about the game against the Ravens. And who knows what's going to happen. Most likely a therapy session, but I guess weirder things have happened. We beat the Patriots one year. So again, we appreciate you guys being here, and we'll see you guys later this week.
Let's go Browns.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Dawgs Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Twitter at the Dawgs Podcast. Get your thoughts on the show at thedogspodcast.com.
This episode is sponsored by My Patriot Supply. Hey, Dog Pack, we do a lot of fun promos on the show, but let me ask you a serious question this time. Do you think the world's going in the right direction, or, does it kind of feel like a lot of things are falling apart? Hurricanes, tornadoes, natural disasters, we just had a pandemic, foreign wars, threats of escalated conflicts. It could be a lot, guys. I get it. And if you're feeling alarmed, you're not alone. Your views, one way or another, they don't change the fact that we all need to be prepared for our families, and that starts with having an emergency food supply. We're living in crazy times, and that's why so many people are making sure their homes are prepared and stored with food. And right now, you can get yourself and your family ready with a 3-month emergency food kit from My Patriot Supply. It comes with delicious foods like creamy stroganoff, honey wheat bread, cheesy broccoli soup, spaghetti, chili mac, even pancake mix. The entire kit offers 2,000 calories every day, and the food lasts up to 25 years. Who knows what things will look like then? But if that dreaded day does come, you will be ready. Go to thedogspodcast.com/patriot right now to order your 3-month emergency food kit from My Patriot Supply. Protect your food situation for things like extended power outages, cyber attacks, natural disasters, quarantines, even things like job loss and income reduction, whatever the situation might be. Make sure that your most basic needs are covered so that you can focus on whatever else you need to do. That's thedogspodcast.com/patriot to order your 3-month emergency food kit now from My Patriot Supply.